Hello Chi-Min, my friends. Welcome to Thrift Store Finds number 3, where I show it and you vote for it. And that's a stupid slogan, but I can't think of anything else right now. Anyway, I find this stuff at thrift stores, the ones within my reach that I can reach with my car. I show you the stuff I find, mostly video games, but some other stuff if I think it's interesting, and you vote on which one you want me to review. So we're gonna start this week with something I'm not going to put up to a vote, but I was tempted to just buy this somewhere, pay full price for it, but wouldn't you know it, just my luck, I see it right there in a place I normally don't go to, not one of my usual thrift stores that I frequent. SSX 3, I now have the first 4 games in the series, every one released for this particular console generation, and I look forward to finally doing the first part of the series review. I don't know precisely when that's going to happen, but it's gonna happen, and I look forward to playing all these games. I have not played SSX 1, again, I have not played SSX on tour, but it's been so long that they might as well be new games to me. I always thought the SSX games were very underrated. I think they're as good as the Tony Hawk games from the same era, but I'm a big fan of the Tony Hawk games as well. Big fan of SSX, and I think it's a shame that they weren't as big of a deal as the Tony Hawk games. As you can see, I have the first 2 on the PlayStation 2, and I have 3 and 4 on the Xbox, so that's a nice pattern there. There's again one for the Wii one. They tried to reboot it for the 360, but I have not played either of those. But if the series review goes well, I will seek those last 2 games in the SSX catalog out. And speaking of Xbox 360, here's an Xbox 360 game. It's Alan Wake. Have not played this, have heard of it, don't know much about it. The back of the box says that it's part action game, part psychological thriller. I've never been an active participant in very heavily story-driven games. Maybe this isn't, but the back of the box does also say that it's like a tightly paced thriller TV series, so it's definitely, I think it's going for more of a story-oriented kind of experience, but not a game I know a whole lot about, but if you want me to play it, you can vote for it, nothing's stopping you. Next is another Midway sports game. They always had good sports games. This is NHL Hits 2003. I'm not the world's biggest hockey fan, but I do enjoy hockey games. Have not played this one, but I know it's an arcade-style sports game, which are my favorite sports games. Again, they age a lot better. You could pick up and play them even if you don't know much about the sport and have a good time with them. And if somebody donates a game like this to whatever thrift store they donate it to, it usually doesn't get snatched up too quickly because people look at it and say, oh, it's a sports game. Especially since there's a year on it, people... Again, if you're gonna find games at thrift stores, it's usually yearly sports games, but if you know what to look for, you could find stuff like this that sets itself apart from just the endless amounts of sports games that are out there. I cannot remember a Midway sports game I've played that I did not enjoy. They're always of consistently good quality, and I don't think there's a sport that they didn't make a game out of. They made one football, obviously, NFL Blitz. They had the MLB Slugfest. I think they did basketball. I think they ended up getting the NBA Jam license for a short time, if I'm not mistaken, but not sure about that. And then, of course, NHL Hits. They even had a soccer game, which is pretty hard to come by. Next is Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions for the Wii. I do not know anything about this game. I don't even think I've heard of this game until I saw it. And it was cheap. It was I think only $2. So that's, I mean, how bad could it be for $2? Have any of you played Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions? If so, how was it? Give me an idea. Let me know what I'm getting myself into. But I will say it's always nice to find a Wii game that isn't Wii Play or Carnival Games or something like that, where there's just a billion copies of it out there. So at the very least, this is a unique find because I have not encountered it up until this point. Next is the first NFL Street game for the Xbox. As you might remember, in Thrift Store Finds number 1, I had found a copy of NFL Street 3 for the PlayStation 2 that week, so Maybe if the trends continue, I'll find a copy of NFL Street 2 somewhere. Have played NFL Street in the past, have liked it a lot, but I did not have the Xbox edition. I had the GameCube edition, no longer in my possession, but I'm glad to have found this again. It's a very fun game, and again, all these arcade-style sports games, they just hold up a lot better than the simulation kind of games. And I was thinking about why I find so many Xbox games relative to GameCube games, and it's a pure branding thing, because Xbox, it was Microsoft's first attempt. The Xbox 360 was obviously very successful, but the Xbox, it did outsell the GameCube, I think 24 million to 22 million, but they both dwarfed in comparison to the PlayStation 2's, I think 150 million worldwide units sold. So when Xbox games make their way onto junk store shelves, they don't get as snapped up as quickly, because somebody doesn't see it and thinks, oh, that's going to be valuable. Because a lot of people do go to these places to get these things on the cheap and flip them. I don't blame people for doing that, but people just see GameCube or Nintendo anything and they think, oh man, that's the golden ticket right there. And it's true, GameCube games are usually more expensive on the secondary market, the used game market, than Xbox or PlayStation 2 games, and there's really no reason for it, especially the price discrepancy between Xbox and GameCube, because again, the Xbox didn't sell that many more units. I mean, 2 million units more is a lot. If you put 2 million Xboxes in a room, that's a lot of Xboxes, but again, it's not like one is that much more rare than the other. I would like to come across more GameCube titles in these stores, but it just doesn't happen, because I think they really do go that quickly. Once they get put up on the shelves, they come off of them almost as quickly. But NFL Street, good game. Next is another solid find. It is Dead Rising for the Xbox 360, and when I got my Xbox 360, I had won a fantasy football league. I was co-champion. We tied the championship game. So I used my my prize money to buy an Xbox 360. I think it was in early 2009. And this was one of the first games I had bought for it. And I believe this is at least the third time I have had this game in my possession. My first copy was the Platinum Hits edition. I don't think that changes the game at all. It just changes the cover art, but this one looks like the original non-Platinum Hits version. And this is I remember not liking the fact about this game that you couldn't complete all the missions, that you had to pick and choose because they were time sensitive, but I've grown to understand that, oh wait, this is supposed to encourage you to play the game differently every time. Like I've already revealed what I'm going to talk about. I can't talk about it anymore. That'll take like 2 minutes off the review. Going back a generation, we have PsyOps, the Mindgate conspiracy for the Xbox, which I have played before, but I was looking through my saved game files and it was there. And it was dated, I don't know when it was dated, but it was a long time ago. And I have no recollection of playing it. It's another Xbox edition, even though I think this one came out on the PlayStation 2 as well. I just think that people are more willing to give away their Xbox stuff to thrift stores because there's no attachment to it. It doesn't have that branding like Nintendo does. So they don't see dollar signs. It's something that's not as valuable in their site. But that's fine with me. The Xbox, the original Xbox, I think is really, really underrated. It has a lot of excellent exclusives and often had the best edition of multi-platform games. It wasn't only the Halo console. That's what most people saw it as, but they had a really good library of exclusive games that I have a lot of and plan on playing and reviewing for you sometime in the future. But PsyOps is not an exclusive. It doesn't have that only for Xbox thing on it. It doesn't have that icon on the upper portion of the box art. And another Xbox game. This is Tony Hawk's Underground, the first game in the Tony Hawk series to have a story. I enjoy the Tony Hawk series, but around the time that Skate for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 was released, people forgot about it, and so did I, because I really Skate was just fantastic. it was more realistic than the Tony Hawk games. The Tony Hawk games just became really over the top. But I don't think I played any of the Tony Hawk games after American Wasteland, I think it's called. But Tony Hawk's Underground, I remember liking this one a lot. I believe I still have my original save file for Tony Hawk's Underground on the Xbox, so I don't remember anything about it, but it'll be fun to see what was up back then. More games than usual, but again, I will review one of these sooner than the others. Just make your voice heard in the straw poll link below which of these games you want me to review, and I will do that. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. Thank you for voting. I'll talk to you soon.